Look around you. We have successfully engineered the most comfortable, friction-free era in the entire history of human civilization. You can summon food to your door with the tap of a piece of glass. You can control the exact climate of your room without moving a single muscle. You can drown out any moment of silence or boredom with an endless, hypnotic stream of digital entertainment. We have finally built the utopia our ancestors spent millennia dreaming about. So why are we so utterly miserable? Why are anxiety, depression, and a profound sense of meaninglessness skyrocketing in the most prosperous societies on Earth? Because we completely misunderstood what the human spirit actually needs to survive. We thought the ultimate goal of life was to eliminate all struggle, but we were wrong. Comfort, when it becomes the primary goal of your existence, is not a reward. It is a slow, silent poison. Let's examine this from both a biological and a philosophical perspective. For hundreds of thousands of years, human beings were forged in the fires of necessity. We had to hunt, gather, build, and defend. Our bodies and our minds evolved to confront challenges, to solve complex problems, and to overcome intense physical and environmental friction. Our neurochemistry is actually designed to reward us for overcoming obstacles. When you climb a mountain, build a shelter, or protect your community, your brain floods with dopamine and serotonin, the deep, sustaining chemicals of satisfaction and fulfillment. But what happens when you remove the mountain? What happens when there is no shelter to build, no community to defend, and your only daily obstacle is waiting for a web page to load? Your biology doesn't just shut down quietly, it turns inward. A mind that has no external resistance will inevitably begin to manufacture its own internal resistance. If you do not give your mind a worthy adversary, a difficult project, a noble cause, a demanding philosophical discipline, it will invent imaginary enemies. It will turn a mildly ambiguous text message into a catastrophic social crisis. It will transform a minor inconvenience at the grocery store into a day-ruining event. This is the root of so much modern anxiety. We have the nervous systems of ancient warriors, but we are living the lives of pampered pets. The ancient philosophers understood this intimately. The Stoics, the Platonists, the thinkers of the classical world did not view physical comfort as an evil sin, but they viewed the attachment to comfort as a profound danger to the soul. They knew that a life devoid of hardship creates a fragile, brittle character. Seneca famously wrote, "I judge you unfortunate because you have never lived through misfortune. You have passed through life without an opponent. No one can ever know what you are capable of, not even you. When your highest aspiration is simply to be cozy, to avoid difficult conversations, and to retreat from the friction of the world, you are effectively choosing spiritual atrophy. You are wrapping your soul in bubble wrap. And while bubble wrap might protect you from a few bumps and bruises, it also completely cuts you off from the tactile, vivid reality of life. You stop growing. You stop reaching. You become terrified of absolutely anything that might disrupt your carefully curated bubble of ease. Comfort whispers a very seductive lie. It tells you that if you just buy one more luxury, upgrade to one more convenience, or avoid one more stressful situation, you will finally find peace. But true peace, what the ancients called apatheia, which doesn't mean apathy, but rather freedom from being enslaved by your passions and comforts, is never found on the couch. It is found in the arena. It is found in the deliberate, conscious choice to step into the wind, to embrace the friction, and to discover the immense, untapped reservoirs of strength that lie dormant inside of you. Right now, there is a massive cultural movement celebrating what people call soft living. It is the idea that because the modern world is so chaotic and demanding, the most radical act of self-care is to simply retreat, to quit the stressful job, to cut off any friend who offers slight criticism, to cancel plans, to stay in bed, and to prioritize coziness above all else. On the surface, it sounds incredibly appealing. It sounds like a deeply compassionate way to treat yourself. But from the perspective of classical philosophy, and certainly from the perspective we teach at New Acropolis, this extreme retreat into comfort is not self-care. It is self-destruction disguised as therapy. To understand why, we have to look at what human beings actually are. We are not fragile porcelain dolls meant to sit safely on a velvet shelf. We are dynamic, purposeful creatures. The ancient Greeks had a specific word for the ultimate goal of human life, arete. It translates roughly to virtue or excellence. But arete was never a passive state. It was the active, daily act of fulfilling your highest potential, of acting with courage, wisdom, justice, and temperance. And here's the unvarnished truth. You cannot develop arete in a vacuum of comfort. Excellence requires resistance. Courage literally cannot exist unless there is fear and danger to overcome. Wisdom cannot be forged without making mistakes and enduring the painful consequences of those mistakes. Justice cannot be served if you are too comfortable to stand up to tyranny or unfairness. When you embrace the soft life to the extreme, you systematically remove the very weights that are required to build a strong character. It is the spiritual equivalent of lying in a hospital bed for a year. Your muscles will inevitably waste away, no matter how soft and comfortable the mattress is. But there is a second, even more dangerous consequence to the worship of comfort. And this gets to the very heart of why our society feels so deeply broken today. When you are fiercely protecting your own comfort, you become entirely self-obsessed. Your universe shrinks. It becomes limited to the boundaries of your own living room, your own screen, your own immediate physical sensations. You start to view other people not as fellow travelers on the journey of life, but as potential threats to your peace and quiet. This is exactly the opposite of the philosophical life. True philosophy is expansive. It is the process of breaking down the heavy, isolating walls of the ego and recognizing your profound connection to the whole. At New Acropolis, we continually return to the concept of sympatheia, the deep interconnectedness of all living things. If we are all part of a single, massive organism, then the idea that you can find true happiness by isolating yourself in a comfortable cocoon is fundamentally flawed. It is like a single cell in the human body deciding it just wants to rest and absorb nutrients, refusing to do its part for the organs around it. We have a medical term for cells that do that. We call it a cancer. The ultimate antidote to this toxic, isolating comfort is service. It is the conscious, deliberate decision to sacrifice your own immediate ease for the benefit of something greater than yourself. This is exactly why volunteering is not a side activity for a philosopher. It is the core curriculum. Think about what it actually takes to volunteer in a meaningful way. It is almost always uncomfortable. It means giving up your Saturday morning when you could be sleeping in. It means getting your hands dirty, pulling trash out of a local riverbank. It means patiently tutoring a child who is struggling and frustrated. It means standing in the cold to distribute food to those who have none. Every single one of these acts requires you to look your own comfort in the face and say no, so you can say yes to the world. And what happens when you do this? A profound, almost magical transformation takes place. The suffocating anxiety that plagued you while you were sitting on your couch, doom-scrolling through social media, suddenly evaporates. The low-level depression that comes from a life lacking meaning is completely burned away by the heat of actual, tangible labor. By stepping into the discomfort of service, you stop worrying about yourself. You realize that your problems, while real, are not the center of the universe. You discover that you have the power to alleviate suffering, and in alleviating the suffering of others, you accidentally cure your own. This is the great paradox of the human condition that the ancients understood, and that modern society has completely forgotten. If you aim directly for comfort and happiness, you will miss them entirely. You will end up bored, anxious, and deeply lonely. But if you aim for duty, if you aim for service, if you aim for the cultivation of excellence through hard work, you will inevitably encounter hardship and friction. But you will also find a deep, unshakable joy that no amount of luxury could ever provide. Comfort is a terrible master, but it can be a useful servant. There is nothing wrong with resting after a long day of meaningful work. The warm bed feels infinitely better when you have actually earned the right to sleep in it. A simple meal tastes like a royal feast when you are genuinely hungry from labor. The problem is not the comfort itself. The problem is making comfort the baseline expectation of your entire existence. We must reclaim the nobility of effort. We must remember that a ship is perfectly safe in the harbor, but that is not what ships are built for. You are built to sail the rough, unpredictable oceans of life, to navigate the storms, and to bring back something of immense value to your community. Do not let the harbor be the only thing you ever know. So how do we break free from this velvet prison? How do we practically, daily, stop letting comfort destroy us? We must introduce the rigorous practice of voluntary discomfort. Now, be very careful here. I am not talking about the superficial, performative discomfort that is so incredibly popular in the online hustle space today. Waking up at 3 in the morning to take a freezing ice bath while yelling at yourself in the mirror might get you a lot of views on social media, but it is often just another form of ego building. It is discomfort for the sake of vanity. True philosophical discomfort is much quieter, much deeper, and much more focused on building a character that is actually useful to the world, not just impressive to look at. The discipline of voluntary discomfort begins with the mind. It begins with your attention. Right now, your attention is the most heavily commodified resource on the planet. Algorithms are designed by absolute geniuses to keep you completely comfortable and completely sedated, feeding you an endless stream of content that perfectly aligns with your existing biases. The first act of voluntary discomfort is to break this cycle. Choose to read a difficult book. Not a 5-minute summary, not a quick article, but a dense, challenging text. Plato, Seneca, the Bhagavad Gita. Allow yourself to experience the frustration of not understanding a paragraph the first time you read it. Do not immediately reach for your phone to numb that frustration. Sit with it. Wrestle with the ideas. This intellectual friction is literally lifting weights for your mind. It builds the capacity for deep focus, a skill that is rapidly becoming extinct. Secondly, embrace the severe discomfort of difficult conversations. In a culture that actively encourages us to cancel or cut off anyone who disagrees with us, the comfortable route is to only associate with people who act as your personal echo chamber. The philosophical route is to engage respectfully with those who see the world differently. It requires massive emotional regulation to listen to a conflicting opinion without getting defensive or angry. It forces you to actually articulate your own beliefs, rather than just blindly repeating slogans. This friction builds the virtue of tolerance and expands your understanding of the human mosaic. Third, and perhaps most importantly, reintroduce physical friction into your daily routine, but link it to a higher purpose. Walk instead of driving when you can, not just for the exercise, but to physically connect with your neighborhood and the people in it. Fix things that are broken instead of immediately throwing them away and ordering a cheap replacement. This requires immense patience. It requires you to learn how things work, and it teaches you respect for material reality rather than treating the world as entirely disposable, and above all, commit to the profound discomfort of duty. choose a responsibility that you cannot easily back out of. Become a mentor to someone younger. Volunteer at a shelter every single week, regardless of whether it's raining, or you're completely exhausted, or you'd rather stay home and watch a movie. When you make a firm commitment to others, you create a necessary, beautiful burden for yourself. There will be days when the alarm goes off and your entire body screams at you to stay in bed, to stay comfortable, to cancel your commitments. That moment of internal resistance is not a nuisance. It is the absolute battleground of your soul. Every time you throw off the covers and step into the cold reality of your duty, you are scoring a massive victory over your lower self. You are training the animal part of your brain to understand that it is not in charge. Your reason, your will, and your commitment to the good are in charge. This daily inner war is exactly what builds true resilience. When you practice voluntary discomfort in small, manageable ways, you are actively inoculating yourself against the inevitable tragedies and hardships of life. When a real crisis hits, when you lose someone you desperately love, when your career collapses, when a global emergency strikes, you will not shatter like glass. Because you have trained in the arena of discomfort, you will have the inner fortitude to stand tall, to bear the heavy weight, and to be a pillar of strength for the people around you who are panicking. You become the shelter in the storm. Do not let comfort silently destroy your potential. A life spent entirely in pursuit of ease is a life half-lived. It leaves you weak, isolated, and ultimately empty. True meaning is always found on the other side of resistance. It is forged in the fires of discipline, deepened by the relentless pursuit of wisdom, and perfected through the selfless service of others. You were built for so much more than just being comfortable. You were built for excellence. If you are utterly tired of the illusion of the soft life and want to build genuine inner resilience, you do not have to do it alone. Philosophy is a journey best taken together. We invite you to step out of your comfort zone and into the arena. Check out our upcoming courses, or join us for our next community volunteering initiative at New Acropolis. The link is in the description below. Rise up, embrace the friction, and discover what you are truly made of.